Welcome to another
Excellent.
episode of the Angels Positivity and Love Show. Incredible guests the world over with amazing insights, experiences, and joy, high vibe, love, whatever you want to call it, from the heart. They're here to share that with us, and we're super lucky to have a very diverse group of guests on from all over the world. We've got a designer today, a brand consultant, and much more, but we've had New York Times bestselling authors, healers, traditional types, a White House physician to the US president, youngest Delta Force operator ever admitted to Delta Force. He felt energy from Texas in Bali, where he was taping from. Today, coming to us is an author, show host. She's had a show on Apple for 15 plus years. She loves tracking the trajectory of other folks as they creatively expand in life. She has a wonderful guest list. She's a design brand consultant and just fabulous in what she does. She loves teaching. She's affiliated with Harvard Business School. She's on the design board at Canva and much more. She wears a lot of hats and she's coming out of New York City. Debbie Millman, thank you for coming on the show. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too, Michael. Thank you for inviting me.
And we had a little fun before the show, which is pretty par for the course for the guests here. I wanted to start off with, have you had an experience with the universe, angels, something you couldn't really explain, but it definitely made an impact? And what is that story you'd like to share?
The story I'd like to share is one that occurred a little over 10 years ago, and it occurred in this room, which is interesting because I had a number of different rooms I could have chosen to have our conversation today and picked this one, and this is the room where it happened. I had just moved into this house that I'm living in, and this is my den, and I have a lot of books in the cabinets and in the closets this way. And I had recently lost my dad. I lost my dad on the 24th of July, 2015, and I had just moved in to this house. It was rather sudden that he passed, though he was ill, and I had taken the week off, uh, ostensibly to unpack, but instead was grieving. On Wednesday of that week, I decided to try to burn up some grief by physical activity, and I thought, let me unpack my books. I had hired a moving company to help me move, and because I have so many books, they helped pack the books, and they actually wrapped most of my books in newsprint. And so over the course of the day, unpacking, a small pile, actually not so small, a rather large island of newsprint was gathering on the floor. And it was very thin newsprint. So as I was ripping the pages, the newsprint off the books, little slivers fell all over the place. They were everywhere. And I decided that I wasn't going to clean up until the end so that I could just do it in one big swoop, put it all in a recycling bag, and put it out that week for the recycling. My relationship with my dad was very complicated. Um, he was a very complicated person, and when he died, we were not speaking. He was not speaking actually to three of his four children. Very complicated. I tried to make it up to see him the day that he died, that Saturday before the Wednesday that I was unpacking, and didn't make it in time. So I never had that sort of final moment with him. The last time I saw him, where our relationship was good, was on June 18th, 2013, when we went to Monticello to watch the horses. So here I am. It is the 28th of July, and I'm unpacking, and I have all of this paper. And this was the kind of paper it was. Very thin, brown, and little scraps. as I was putting a pile of this into the recycling bag, an overwhelming voice came into my being and stated, "Turn me over." It was my dad. It was a photograph of my dad that fell out of one of the books that looked just exactly like the scrap of paper,
Hmm.
and he's smiling, which my dad often did not do. In fact, I don't have any other pictures, as far as I can tell, other than this one, wherein he is actually smiling. And I had never seen this picture before, ever. Apparently, when my parents got divorced, my grandmother was so angry at my dad, she cut him out of pictures. But this is a picture just of him that was cut out of something. And so I knew right then and there. We made our little piece, and I keep these pieces to remind me.
Beautiful story.
How
Beautiful.
good is that?
Can you talk to us big picture in life? What have you settled on for your, and I don't like the expression settled on. What is your philosophy for life, the heart, love, sharing, communication? What's your modus operandi?
Purpose, trying to determine what it is and fulfill it. Lifelong quest.
And how do you view compassion, kindness, love?
Requirements for living.
Can you give us an example where you can't get enough sharing your time with someone, an organization, people?
Well, I feel that way about my wife, that we are soulmates, and there's not a thing that occurs during the day that I don't want to share with her in the moment. She's my favorite person to talk to, my favorite person to be with, and I feel very lucky that she entered my life. Um, so that's certainly something I find enormously important.
And when it comes to angels, do you believe in angels? Have you had an experience, dream time? Do you not know about that one time you're not sure, or absolutely they exist?
Well, I think that correspondence with my dad was definitely an angel. It was 4 days after he'd passed, probably still circling the atmosphere, and it was very clear that that was a message. There's no other way to explain that that makes any sense. How on earth would I know to turn over a piece of what looked like scrap newsprint to find him? And I remember sitting right here when I picked it up, and I had to sit down, and I was like, oh, okay, I hear you. So that I think was pretty significant. Um, I've had a number of experiences like that where it's clearly some type of communication, I guess. And now I'm not a woo-woo person, Michael. I'm not. I know. I'm not. I'm much more grounded in science and physics and astrophysics. But there
You
are
tell
certain
all the
things.
show hosts that.
But but I have to say that there have been a number of unexplainable phenomena that have happened to me over the years that I can't explain. I had another experience in Israel. I was in the Ben Gurion airport, and this was also dad related in some to some extent. My dad ultimately married somebody that his second marriage was to somebody that wasn't Jewish, and he had children with her, and that really upset another member of the family who ended up cutting off contact with him for 25 years. And in that 25-year window, I married an Israeli person and was in Israel a lot. One of my visits going back to the United States. We were in the Ben Gurion airport. I was with my ex, and I had this overwhelming feeling, like deeply, deeply overwhelming, that there was somebody around me that I knew. And I was looking in the faces of people, and I told my ex, I feel like there's somebody here that I know. He's like, that's crazy. And I'm looking at all the people. And in Israel, you're not really supposed to stare at Orthodox Jewish men because it's inappropriate. But I was staring anyway. And he's like, stop staring. You're not supposed to be doing that. But I couldn't help it. And then I landed on a woman who I thought, wow, that looks like my aunt. But she was like 20 something. And I couldn't help it. I walked up to her and I said, are you related to? And I named my relative. And she said, I'm her daughter.
Wild. Okay, so you've got we'll call it intuition, but people, athletes have it. They're in the zone. They just know. They know how to do it. Artists, musicians, many others, business people who get yeses all the time and walk a smooth path, have fun. Talk to us about your intuition and how you're using it today, a couple decades ago when you were 10. Let's hear how you're utilizing what you got.
Well, I don't one of the feelings that I have about my life right now is that I haven't trusted my intuition enough, and that I'm more of a I need concrete evidence kind of person. Although I do have to say, and I would also admit that most people in my life now really do respect my sense of things, because there have been times when I have had some type of intuition about something or someone and shared that, and that has always manifested, even when people were like, what are you talking about? And then that did manifest. I have a very, very deep intuition about people, and it might be an antenna that I have because of my own trauma or my own struggles, but I can genuinely feel a force coming from people. But a lot of people that have gone through trauma have that experience also. So it might not be woo woo, it might just be brain chemistry. But I've had numerous experiences over the course of my life that were either intuition or perception that was different than other people's, but ultimately manifested in reality.
Can you give us an example on the design front or art front or interactions with others for the show, your show?
No, not off the top of my head, but I don't think I could do what I do well and for as long as I have without having a sense of recognizing what is remarkable in people and wanting to share that with the world.
Talk to us about your practices over the years, whether it's grounding, exercise, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, self-help authors you've simply enjoyed, or spiritual authors. I mean, it could be Don Miguel Ruiz or Eckhart Tolle, somebody. What would you want to share on that front? And have things come and gone, or have you stuck with some practices over time?
I'm not a self-help person. I tend to really bristle at a notion of self-help. I have been in therapy though for a very long time with the same therapist, 30, almost 34 years, 33 years, the same therapist. And that is a real spiritual practice for me because I have always been striving since college to, and even earlier, to understand the obstacles that sort of fell into my life at a very early age that could have and likely should have derailed me in I can see the evidence of that in other family members that didn't get the sort of significant help that I've been able to get and how it derailed their lives and how this what I would say is very much a spiritual and intellectual process has saved me and allowed me to craft a life that I'm mostly proud of.
I'm going to give you a NASA astronaut quote. It's Story Musgrave. He said, "Getting out of the comfortable path. That's what exploration is all about." Now, he was talking about outer space and space travel and all the rest. Let's apply that to your life. Where have you gotten out of the comfortable path and pushed?
Where have I gotten out of the comfortable path and pushed? Well, I've gotten out of the comfortable path and pushed over and over, but I don't, in that moment, really see it being something that I consciously approached as pivoting to another path. I am an extremely fixed personality, and I like security and I like stability and predictability. Those are the enemies of risk taking and experimentation. But I have constantly wanted to grow and learn. So I have these opposing forces that exist in me of wanting to be better, more evolved, be doing interesting new things, but then also being really afraid that if I do anything that does not have a predictable outcome, that somehow I will end up, homeless and face down in the street. So that has been a lifelong battle for me. So I do things for a really long time. I'm in therapy for 30 plus years. That's a good thing. Sometimes I've stayed in relationships too long. I've stayed in jobs too long. Um, it takes me a long time to make a change. And that I wish and I'm working on trying to minimize, but that's I think one of the big life lessons of me that I have to be more aware of being able to rely on myself and not being so really paralyzed with fear over change.
Beautiful. If I say nature, animals, hummingbirds, pets, animal consciousness, what's your reaction? How are you loving to interact with nature? Is it retreats? Is it travel? Is it just the backyard? Is it the cat?
Well, I have two cats and a dog. I had a soul dog for almost 20 years who came into my life by magic and truly. And we fell in love at first sight. It was utterly mutual. And she was my soul dog. Her name was Duff.
Mm.
And I had a dog before Duff named Scruffy. And Scruffy was a very intentionally um, acquired pet. And then because I was working full time at the time and needed somebody to help me with Scruffy during the day, I quite again by accident found a dog walker on my block who then started walking Scruffy. She lived two doors down from me and realized because she had a very small apartment, but she also had a little backyard that maybe she could have a business watching dogs during the day while their owners, their pet parents were working. And so she started picking Scruffy up in the morning and bringing him home in the evening when I got home from work, or I'd go pick him up. And she decided she wanted to make a business out of this and asked me to help her make a flyer. You don't ask a brand consultant to make a flyer. You ask a brand consultant to create an advertising campaign. So I made her these beautiful posters that we put up around the neighborhood, and it was a photograph of Scruffy running with a ball in his mouth, hair blowing back behind him. He was a Shih Tzu, so he had this lovely mane. And within a day, she got a call from a man who asked if he could drop his dog off for 5 days. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be rich." She was so excited by it. And he dropped off this little blonde, furry angel, and that was Duff. When I saw Maria later that night walking them both, Scruffy and Duff, um, I looked at Duff, my knees went weak, and I said, if her owner doesn't come back, I want her. And Maria was like, he better come back because he has to pay me. 5 days later, he called her and said, can you keep her a little bit longer? Maria said, yes, but come and pay me. And he said he would, and he never showed up, and she never ever heard from him again. She really thought that like I had done something to him in order to keep Duff. She couldn't have afforded to keep Duff, and I took Duff. And Duff was my angel dog. We were inseparable for the next 15 years.
Okay,
And
let's talk about dogs and Duff and cats too. Well, first of all, let's go for a philosophical question. Are dogs like third or fourth graders, but cats are like fifth or sixth graders? If you're watching in New Zealand or Canada, fifth form. How do you like to describe the difference?
hmm, I don't experience the personality differences between dogs and cats as much as others because though I've almost always had two cats in the last 30 years or so, one of the two, always was more like a dog. So Rothko thought he was a dog with Scruffy and Duff, and now Theo thinks he's a dog with Max, my current dog. I've always had one cat that was a little bit more aloof, but Lucy never really changed from being aloof. Lou, my other cat, is much more loving now and he's become more and more. He's the one that you've seen sort of crawl over me. So my cats, especially right now, Theo and Lou are very dog-like in their exuberance and needing to be cuddly and wanting to be near people. Theo will sit on anyone. So for me, there's not as much of a difference, but dogs are more eager for your approval, um, and expect to be expect to get it or expect to want to get it.
Did you hear Duff directly?
Just now?
No, in general, when Duff was around, did you have a lot of animal owners have very direct communication with their
Oh
pup?
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you could hear crystal clear.
Oh yeah. Duff and I were, and it's interesting because now Roxanne, my wife, has that relationship with Max.
Hmm.
They imprinted on each other, and he is obsessed with Roxanne. He can't be apart from her without crying. That's how deeply attached to her he is. I love seeing it. I think everybody should have an experience in life with a soul dog.
Well, we've reached that point in the show. I'm going to light a little bit of sage in Texas, see if you want to catch it in the New York City area. Um, for folks at home, all I'm doing is lighting a little bit of sage. It's the one found in Whole Foods, Juniper Ridge, California company. I think it used to be $2 a bundle. It's probably a lot more now, $8 to $12 a bundle. But the point is, it's good, stable, easy peasy lemon squeezy sage. Smell what you want to smell. It might be a campfire smell. We did this before the show. She caught it. But we'll see on air, the pressure's on. A little bit of flame, a lot of smoke, and I'll tell one dad joke. If you're laughing, you're letting go. Why did the rabbit fall down that well? He didn't see that well. Okay, let us know if you catch some sage, but if you do, close your eyes, catch flowers. And if you want to go crazy, you're not going to share this out loud. If your eyes are shut, breathe extra. Let Duff either woof or come running by, see a yard, see a beach, either way, and ask for a little extra from the universe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. No, try Yoda. I'll do Yoda's voice while she's letting go. And just if you could acknowledge you got the sage at least a while ago.
Oh,
Okay, good.
yeah.
I'll do Yoda's voice, but don't peek because I'll be embarrassed. And yet I'm on a recorded show here. Do, do not. There is no try. And if you're laughing, you're totally letting go. So you're in your heart. That's the whole point of the show. Can people drop into their heart? The answer is yes. Do we give ourselves credit for it? Not really. Um, Debbie, did you get a little extra on top of the sage? What would you want to share out loud?
That when you let yourself open your heart, it feels really good.
And I have a hummingbird just came right up to my window. It's basically summer here in Texas. I got a feeder right there. That was pretty cool. I'm going to find my 18 pages of quotes. It could be Einstein, Plato, um, Wayne Dyer, and many others. And could be a movie quote. I'd love to read three or four of them and see which ones you react to or just where it takes you. So it's very spontaneous. And then we'll start to wrap up after that. Okay, Winnie the Pooh. Some people talk to animals. Not many listen, though. That's the problem. And I would add that's the opportunity for growth and expansion for us all. Um, Angel said this one: faith is not knowing in life while letting go and loving. And then I'm randomly, all these pages here. Um, being aware of stillness means to be still. To be still is to be conscious without a thought. Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. Which one spoke to you the most?
Winnie the Pooh.
Okay, some people talk to animals, not many listen though. I'll throw in one more quote. I've memorized this one. If, and this is Archangel Uriel about 10 or 12 years ago said this, if more people would listen here on planet Earth, if more people would listen, less conflict would result in any given situation. Okay, Debbie, maybe we're not talking about intuition, even though I think it's all the same. If you're just paying attention to the moment, paying attention to others, what's going on around you, how is listening the key to everything?
I don't know that listening needs to refer to hearing. I think it's awareness that is the key to everything because that awareness allows for an exchange of empathy and allows you to feel, I think, a mutuality with others meaning anything.
Grow your awareness, not your thinking. Whole point of the show. I love what you just said. We will start to wrap it up in just a second. I'm going to put up a couple angel photos. One's a historical photo of Audrey Hepburn, one's of the angel Joy. You may only feel a little bit of energy at your end. You may get an insight that you can share with all of us, something from them to you to just share with all of us. It may be something else. You can never predict this stuff. At the end, though, you're either going to close us out. I mean, you're a professional show host for 15 plus years. You know how to wrap up this stuff. Or share a mantra that's a new mantra. And you can use these two angels for that mantra. So now you're on the hook. The mantra, if you would you share it three times with us, whatever it is? I mean, people have done I am love, I am love. It'll give people a chance to pick up on your vibe in a different way, like you just said, listening at a different level. Here's an angel named Joy. If you don't mind at least putting your hand out and treat her like a fireplace, feel what you can feel. Try too hard, you get sparkles on the toes or a whoosh down your back. Are you feeling any warmth, sparkle, tingle?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and ask her, what do folks need to know out there, or what do I need to know? Get a private compliment, get anything, get a hug. Let me know when you're all set with Joy, and you can cheat all the way. I've had her jump in my arm to hit a winner on the tennis court. I've had her help me with my runs when I went out too late in the Texas heat. She did 70% of the work. She told other people that. I wasn't the only one listening. Um, Ask her, what does she have for mankind as a reminder? And there's a lot of complexity out there, and you're good at identifying complexity. What does Joy say we all need to keep in mind?
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Ah, I love this. You nailed it. Okay, and here's Audrey Hepburn. Um, if you don't mind, off camera, put a hand out to the side as if you have a dog at your feet between the couch and table. Off camera, yeah, low. And breathe through your mouth a little extra. Let Audrey bring you Duff. You're not saying a word. You're not telling us till after we say cut. So privately, just breathe, 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 breathe. Feel fur. Get a lick if you want. People have done this on the show. But meanwhile, let Audrey give you a big hug, a big compliment, a big hint about this summer, spring. You're in New York, so it's kind of just barely even beginning. It probably just snowed in the last week. Um, get something from her, and then what would you like to just share out loud that's either Audrey inspired or she said it verbatim to you?
If not now, when?
Oh, two of the best ones ever. Okay, are you giving us a mantra, repeating it 3 times, or do you want to close it out more formally?
No, I'm happy to say it 3 times. I'm happy to say it for eternity. If
What's your
not
mantra?
now, when? If not
Oh,
now, when? If not now, when?
Debbie Millman, thank you very much for coming on Angels, Positivity, and Love. You're incredible. I love just what you shared today. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.